And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. Depression can manifest in different ways for everyone. According to a new study, it looks a bit different in black women. Those symptoms can look like stress, self-criticism, and even sleep disturbances. Let's bring in our next guest to talk about this. Therapist Dr. Christine Belliard and Saudi attorney LMFT. Glad to have you both here on The Factor Uncensored. So when we say depression can look different for black women, tell me how it manifests itself besides what we've said here already tonight.
I will say both of us are therapists, and oftentimes when we get calls, I'll say that someone may call and say, you know what, I feel like I'm just not handling things how I should. It's almost as if they are nervous that they're not handling even more things. So it can come out with, there's quite a bit of stress, but then also I should be doing more. Why can't I handle this? Almost as if they're supposed to be able to handle the world, and if they're not, then there's a problem.
Is this because of generational issues, because women saw their mom handling it despite being depressed or whatever? They just push through all the time.
Absolutely. So it's generationally in the family of origin, but it also is historically. Like, as black people, our survival was built on being tough. So that gets passed down generation to generation. So it's inside the family that there is a idea that you do need to push through, that I'm going to toughen you up because the world is going to be hard on you. And then you go out into the world and the world is hard. So there's no place for black women to really show despair, show sadness, cry, right? So those feelings get repressed. And when anything is repressed, it turns into depression. And if it can't be manifested through your thoughts and your feelings, then it'll show up in your body. So there are a lot of complaints.
Dr. Belliard, is it a possibility that that becomes angry black woman too?
Well, I will say anger is a secondary emotion.
Because if you're holding stuff down,
that's for sure. For sure.
You know, it comes out, you know.
It can be, but the stereotype of the angry black woman, where now you're trying oftentimes to fight against that stereotype.
Right.
I don't want to be pegged that way. So I do repress, but like a pressure cooker, something's going to eventually explode. If it's through anger, that secondary emotion, but it really is, how do we get to that primary emotion where it's okay for you to be sad or for you to know that you can't control everything? That's not possible. Like, it's okay for you to be human.
Wimpy, weak theory.
Exactly.
Or that you're fighting against. You don't want to be weak because you saw your mom handle a lot of stuff. A
lot of stuff, which honestly is a trauma response. She had to handle those things.
Right.
So the beauty is we're one of the first generations where we're able to actually process so much generational stuff. A lot of my work with women is about how can you be okay with being compared to doing, where you're having to produce figuratively and literally, to now being able to just know that it's worthy for you to just be. Like that is a huge transition for us. Usually it's so been connected to our production and what we can produce, and for everybody around us in the house, at our job, and everywhere else.
And Saudi, what would you say to them to say it's okay? It's okay to take this moment to figure out what's going on with you. It's okay to be vulnerable right now.
Yes, and vulnerability is strength. So I reframe it for my clients as like, that is the hardest thing to do. The hardest thing to do is to show up authentic. The hardest thing to do is to seek support. But when it's something that really matters, when you really care about yourself, you're going to do whatever you need to do to get the help you need. So asking for help, asking for support, just being honest about how you feel is actually a sign of strength. It is not at all a sign of weakness. And that's why it's so important for women, especially black women, to have safe spaces that they can go into where they can take those masks off and just say, actually, this is really what's going on with me.
We need to bring you guys back and continue to talk about this on The Factor Uncensored. We want to thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate you. Make sure you follow us on social media and, of course, on Fox Soul. We're going to all say goodbye, good night together. Good night, good night.